Sooner Nation, Thunder Nation, we are back. This is the Just Okay Sports Podcast. I'm one of your village idiots, Daryl, and I am here with my brother Jared, aka J Rod. And please don't forget to like and subscribe and follow because this is where we talk Oklahoma sports. And look, you'll feel better about yourselves because it's a very average podcast. So, Jared, how are we, sir?
I am doing good. I am it's been like a weird day. So I'm changing jobs. Right? I got a new job, so I'm moving to a different company and all that. Had like my
Crazy.
exit interview, and it's like the dumbest like HR stuff is always just so weird to me because it seems so inefficient. As somebody that
Yes.
works in IT, like I hate the inefficiency. So they sent me a thing online. They were like, answer all these questions and respond and blah 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 blah. You know what I mean?
Right.
And I was like, okay. And like, so I did that and I was like, sick. So maybe she's just gonna like ask, like get more detail or something. All she did was read through the same questions again. So it was like, I just did the survey and now you're doing the survey to me in verbal form where I'm just basically saying the same exact things. Like, why waste this time? But
Oh my gosh.
anyway, but yeah, so it's been like a weird day. It's kind of like, it's tough because it's like, we were like, I was talking to one of my, like, actually talking to my boss and somebody else about this day. It's like, the world's so different now because like you remember like we were growing up like especially our dad was like you need to like work one place. He was like you work one place your whole life, or whatever. Like
Yeah. Yeah.
he's very into that. And it's like, and I do like I am a very loyal person, so like it's hard to like even though like I think this new opportunity is gonna be great and all that. It's like it does feel weird because it's like this is the shortest that I like started thinking about this, and this is by far the shortest I've worked at a place
That's true.
in my entire like career part of my
Yeah.
jobs, right? Everywhere like I was at the previous two companies I was at, I was there for like 8 or 9 years apiece, right? So
Right.
I've been here for not even two actually. My 2 year anniversary is like would have been in November. So yeah, so it's a little weird, It's just like when every time you change jobs, it's like you're excited, but you're also kind of like it's a new job,
Mm-hmm.
like you got to
Yeah.
lay in the lay of the land, learn new people. That's a little, it's like stressful. I'm going to be stressed for the next couple of months and footballs might not help that. Football might not be a good outlet for me for the next however
Yeah.
long. We'll see.
Yeah.
But how are
So
things?
look,
How are
well,
things
hold
there
on. The
though?
podcaster community that listens to us, all two, want to know: are you moving to Canada?
I'm not. I'm not moving to Canada. No.
Okay, I'm just letting them know. I wanted to let you.
That's you and Troy asking. No, I'm not moving to Canada. I'm not moving to Canada. I do like Canada. Toronto's an awesome city. Canada's actually pretty cool, but no, I'm not moving there.
Yeah. Okay. All right. All right. Very good. Very good. So, yeah, as far as our world goes, it's good. This week is a little bit lighter on the kids' activities, so that's nice. And then as I texted you last night, I got sloughed tickets to the Tennessee game last night. So which is insane to me because I did not anticipate that being a game that somebody would be like, here, we have some tickets. We just
Yeah, if
need to
it's
get
like
rid.
OU Maine, you're like you have like a number of people who are like,
Yes.
hey,
Yeah.
but OU Tennessee,
It's
which
like
I don't know, maybe feeling the pulse of Sooner Nation. Maybe it's kind of in the same boat, just on the other end of the spectrum.
yeah, it might be a little bit, but even so, I mean, the fact that they could have easily put those on StubHub and, basically made a month's worth of salary, uh,
Yeah.
doing that stuff. So pretty excited. Tal's super pumped. And now he's trying to convince me to drive him and his sister to game day in the morning, come home, and then go back to the game in the
Does he
evening.
in this economy, bro? Come on
Yeah,
now, Tal.
that's
These gas
exactly
prices, come on now, dog.
that's what my wife said.
Yeah.
So, anyways, well, let's get to it. Before we get into game stuff, this is our review preview pod. We got some potential exciting news moving ahead. We'll see what happens, but we're going to start with a little recruiting. We've had good news and bad news this week in the recruiting front, right? So let's start with the bad as we always do. Floyd Picard, Miami defensive tackle, one of the top defensive tackles in the class, decommits from Oklahoma. As a matter of fact, yesterday, that news came out in the evening, yesterday evening officially. And I don't really know what to make of it yet. I haven't had time to chase it down yet. I don't know if this is just as simple as I want to go look at other places still, and I'm not completely sold. For that matter, I don't know if this is, dang, dude, Jaden Jackson's playing, David Stone's playing, Grayson Halton's playing, like Devon Sears is playing. Like, when am I going to play? It might be that. I'm not sure kind of where that
Well, but
all.
I mean, It's yeah, I haven't really got a feel out for it either yet. I haven't. I mean, I know we talked about it yesterday, and I did see it yesterday. Um, but it's like, especially in this day and age of recruiting, it's not like a decommitment. I feel like means less and less.
Yeah.
Not to say it's not notable, right? But like CD Lamb decommitted and then recommitted,
I think it's
things
still
like that.
notable in the sense, though, I would still say it's about 90% that the decommits do not re up with who they decommitted
Sure,
from.
yeah, sure. And I see, especially with like we talked about with BV, it's much more rare than we saw with like Lincoln Riley, for
Yes.
instance.
Yes.
And so yeah, it is a little. I don't know. We'll see. We'll see how it plays out. Like I said, if anything though, like it, 3 games in, and we're going to talk about this a little bit more. It's like 3 games in, the defense recruiting should be through the roof because the defense has looked solid. And like you
Yeah.
said, I know you're not sold on the DNs, but it's like I thought the DNs have looked much better.
Yes. No, well, we're gonna get to it. I'm gonna eat some crow on the defensive end side. There's no doubt about it when we get to that. And so yeah. Where on the flip side though, now to move to the good news, Cortez Mills, it felt like was an imminent decommitment because he went and visited a school after he had committed, which is typically a no go. And again, I I know several other podcasts have already made this clear. So if you're one of those that listen, this is not new. People, please understand that BV's policy is not you commit, and if you take a visit, we're done with you. That is not how it works. It's simply if you are committed, we're not going to recruit people to that position or your spot, if you will. You're the guy. Now, if you go take a visit, we still want you. We're still going to recruit you, but we're going to treat you as though you are not committed and your spot is available.
Yeah.
That's a big misconception I think that people have with
Mhm.
BV's policy is that oh he took a visit, he's done, he's out, and it's like no. Like there's still like we're still going to work on this, people. Like we're still going to see what happens. So all that to say, Cortez Mills kind of reaffirmed, if you will, his commitment yesterday, I believe, as well, like within just an hour or two of Picard. So, you know, there's one that it felt like it was slipping away. He seems to have come back. And so, yeah, Oklahoma's still firmly in a top 10 class category right now. We'll see what they do at the defensive tackle position. And again, I think they're going to continue to pursue Floyd Picard and try to get him into this boat. So, any of your thoughts on either of those two guys or
I mean, like I said, for one, if there's a position that you could afford to lose somebody like a Bacard, it's at the D tackle, right?
yeah,
Right now, like you said, that position's a little deeper. And really just the defensive side of the ball. Not to say there aren't positions that you want we're trying to get some people to fill in or come in that are ready to step up. But I just think that that's lessens the blow as much as it does still sting, right? But yeah, Mills I think that's good. I think like that's I mean, you want to try to keep as many people firmly committed because we don't know what the road's going to be going ahead.
yeah,
And they're already, like I said, we're gonna get into this in just a second. There's plenty to talk about with what the product is on the field currently. So
yeah,
yeah.
absolutely. So, well, let's jump right to it then. Let's take a
Mm.
few minutes to review the Sooners win over a Tulane team that came in that gave, well, I'm just going to say it. They beat K State. They beat K State, and K State got bailed out of that game by a horrendous call on the go ahead score in that game. And so this is a team that had everything in front of it, averaging nearly 500 yards of offense a game, et cetera, et cetera. And OU pulls out a victory by double digits over them. I thought there were some really solid things, but as always, we start with the bad and we work to the good. So, Jared, what did you see in this game that concerned you, bothered you, that still continues to be the nemesis for you?
Do I have to limit it to three?
Uh, no, you don't. You don't have
Well,
to.
okay. I'll pick on one person first, and I hate to do this because I think he was really good last year. He came on strong, and I'm hoping that somehow happens to him this year.
Mm-hmm.
But Gavin Sawchuk just ain't it right now.
No.
Gavin Sawchuk has not found his footing. He hasn't found a rhythm. Literally everybody, as we talked about this, you and I, Troy, I think we're talking about this. We maybe talked about the pod last week, but I think we texted about it. if you were to make me rank the running backs that we've seen so far this
Mhm.
season, Sawchuk was in last place.
Yeah.
So it's confusing that he keeps starting and he's getting as many carries as he is, or he's getting many opportunities out there. I think it has lessened a little bit, so I think that's shifting.
Mhm.
But yeah, you hate to see because he is apparently one of the fastest guys, and I do think if you get him into space,
Right.
then he is still really good. But the problem is this offensive line right now and the outside blocking has not been good enough to get him enough space.
Yeah, and it was
Um,
weird because they kind of got him outside a little bit in this game early, right? And he had
yeah.
some positive plays, but then again, there's some other plays where you still have to attack the middle, right? I mean, like this
Well,
is
I was
not
gonna say
one
that's
like you can't have a guy that you know as a defense that oh when he's in the game they're going to run outside every time and then
right.
there's been some holes. That's the thing, like there are seams like, and that's the other thing too, right? Watch any game, good running backs, it's not gaping holes that they find and go through. It's these little seams that they're able to see and work their way through and go. And then not only that, look, Teddy and Gabe have talked about this. I can't remember who the guy was that I was watching online the other day. He's like, dude, the running backs have to find a way
Mm,
to make the second level guy miss. And BV
right.
talked about it actually today too at lunch when I was sitting at home at lunch listening to his. He's like, we have 15-yard runs that can go to the house. We've got 6-yard runs that should be 15-yard runs. Like we've got to be better at the running back position of making those things happen.
Yeah. I mean, so and like I said, they all have a little bit of improvement. I know really people are really high on Tatum, which I was one of the people that has been on high on Tatum for a long time.
Yeah.
Um, but even him, I think, there's been a couple of plays where it's like he's kind of not like he had an opportunity. I think even this last game, there was a play where it's like if he's able to make the move,
Yeah.
and cut, I think it was he needed to cut inside. It's like, dude, he probably goes for 20 yards minimum, but
Mhm.
instead he kind of tries to make a weird move and go outside and he gets tackled for 3 or 4 yards.
Yeah.
So yeah, there's things like that that they need to work on. So like I think the running backs as a whole need to improve. And the thing is, it's like I'm still sold that it's a deep room as far as talent level and
Yep.
athleticism, and things like that. It's just the right now it's the fundamentals that need
Yeah.
to get better.
Well, and here's and like to your point, like when you talk about those three guys, I think from a talent standpoint, they rise to the top, right? Sawchuck's ability to break one long, great, right? I think Tatum can do the same, but he's really shown that ability to find or create space, even though he hasn't broke necessarily a long one yet. Barnes runs with violence and has unbelievable speed, right? But then the weakness, Barnes has no juke ability, it feels like right now. He runs to contact as opposed to space. Taylor Tatum has no clue what pass protection is whatsoever through 3 games. Like that's the problem with him. He is an absolute liability. If you check to a pass play, you are screwed with him in the backfield. And then Sawchuk just can't find the hole. He has no idea how to look and stop, stop it, stop
I
it.
didn't Danny Stutzman you. I didn't Danny Stutzman you.
Yes, you did. Yes, you did. And he can't see where to go. So you can't really trust him. And honestly, he's been blown up. Like he sees the pass protection, but he's been blown
Right.
up a couple times trying to take on guys. You know, to me, here's another question. Why is Sam Franklin not getting run at this point? Like I'd be willing to bet. I wonder. I don't know how to pull this up.
What's funny is we haven't even talked about like Caleb. I mean, we haven't seen Caleb Hicks, but it's like we're not even talking about
Caleb
Caleb
Hicks
Hicks.
hasn't touched the freaking ball or
I
the
know that's
field.
what I'm saying. Yeah.
Like I'm with you. Like
I just don't know how we keep him after the season at this point, unless they start playing him. I mean, from what we
I don't,
hear, if
yeah, I don't, I mean, maybe he stays because he loves it and he really, maybe DeMarco's telling him, dude, your time's come. I don't know. But
like,
I
I mean,
mean,
well, let me kind of like, because like, here's the thing. I think the running backs as a whole, like I said, talent level's good. They just got to work on the fundamentals, and maybe that's. Hmm. It's kind of been funny. I feel like with DeMarco because people are really high on DeMarco's coaching ability when he came in, and then questioning his recruiting ability, and then now it's like his recruiting's really good, but how is his coaching ability? So,
yeah.
I don't know. I still believe in DeMarco, but I'm just there's weird things that are happening like that. But
Yep.
again, it's like to me, it feels like that's beyond like kind of to highlight Tatum, like you were talking about with the pass blocking. And this will be my other bad. Even though I thought it was a lot better, it's like the outside blocking is still not good.
Yeah.
Um, the outside blocking is still not good. The tight ends are not blocking very well either. Especially Bauer Sharp. As much as I like him as a receiving threat,
Hmm.
blocking wise, he's a liability.
Right.
Um, and though, so it's like that's kind of like a whole, like a team whole thing. It's like why is the offense seems so inept at it?
Yeah.
Because it's like, and it's like I don't even know because it's not that long ago that I mean, really, even like last season and stuff. It's like how many times do we see? I remember like watching. There's like a highlight where CD Lamb's like I don't remember who it is breaking around, but like CD Lamb's like 30 yards down the field setting blocks.
Yeah.
And he's a superstar. Like a lot of times, superstars are like, I'll throw a block, kind of, but that's it. It's like, dude, he was down there being physical. Um, so yeah, a little bit of question there. I don't understand the blocking, like why that's such an issue. At least to the level that it is. And like I said, I did feel like it was better. I felt like really what I felt like was there was probably like the first quarter, I thought the outside blocking was really good. And then I felt kind of the middle part of the game, the blocking got really bad again. And then kind of towards the end, it got a little bit better. But it was still inconsistent. It's still, even when I say it was good, it wasn't, it was barely good at a good
Good.
level. It
Good
was
for us this
good for us.
season.
It was like a B minus at best, right? Like it was not great. Um, so that's really of a concern. And then obviously the other bad, I'm actually gonna give two other bads. The offensive line, we don't have to talk about it. I thought that they, again, there was times that they actually played really well, I thought, in this game.
Hmm.
And then there was times where it was like you didn't feel like they could, stop a boulder from rolling uphill. It was horrendous. Um, and it just again the consistency and there's just guys out there you see right now where it's like, man, this guy, that why is he out there on the field,
Yeah.
right? Um, so there's that. And then I guess lastly, I'll go with the defense a little bit. The defense really like kind of just felt flat for a part
Hmm.
of this game. Um, they're obviously they let Tulane climb back into the game, but it was like they just came out and it felt like that. I don't even know how to. It just felt like I don't even. It was flat, but it was also like they were never in sync. Like they
Yeah.
were never like it was never like the complementary defense of each other, where it was like okay, the D line would get a really good push or there'd be a good blitz, but then the safeties and corners just didn't know how to cover anybody at that moment. And then when they
Right.
would lock it down, then nobody was getting pressure on the quarterback, so he stood back there for 30 years.
Yeah.
Um, just things like that just felt like really out of sync, and he's like, you can't do that when you're going like it's like I said, we're going into Tennessee, we're going into a tough schedule.
Hmm.
And these teams are not going to, I mean, no disrespect to Tulane. I think Tulane's a really good team. I think Tulane could end in the season as a 9 or 10 win team easily. I think they're a very talented team.
Yeah.
Um, but do that against Tennessee, they're going to go score on you
Yeah.
repeatedly.
Yeah.
And so that is a little bit concerned. Now that's me almost nitpicking at them because we've talked so much about the offense, but it's like I was very concerned for part of the game. I was like, maybe it was like the trauma of defenses past where I was like, man, this feels like you
Hmm.
know, the defenses of old OU where we couldn't stop anything, and that's kind of how it felt. So
Yeah.
that's my bad.
Yeah. One thing on your running back note, do you want to know who are from a running back perspective, who the number 3 rushing person is?
By carries or yards?
Yards.
Number three, is it Sam Franklin?
That is correct. Do you want to know what his average per rush is on the season?
12.
11.3. And we have not seen him since Temple.
But I will say this. I'm going to say this. Not to take away from Sam Franklin. I'm not a Sam Franklin hater. But we did talk about it that he had like a 30-yard run, and on that play, it was like the D tackle or D end, whoever was, just gave up on the play. It was the only reason he even had a crease, and he did hit the crease and he did make a
Well, it was the
run,
middle
but
linebacker. The middle linebacker is the
it
one
was the middle
who
linebacker. Okay.
vacated the zone, but still, like he hit it and went. From what we've seen, he's been decent and past. Like so, we've said each of these guys has a deficiency that's holding them back. Right? They
Right.
don't see where the crease is to go. It seems like Sam Franklin does that pretty well.
Yeah.
We've said that pass pro is a problem. It seems like he's got that. And then Barnes does the pass pro well, sees the creases well, but doesn't have much shake. And Brent Venable's own mouth said that Sam Franklin through fall camp had more explosive runs than any running back on the team. Like,
Yep.
what are we doing? Like, this is where that whole, like, we're having the same conversation as last year of why is the rotation the way that it is?
Yeah, I mean, I don't think the rotation is as bad as it was last year. I mean, it's still not great, obviously,
I mean, when you got a
but
guy averaging 2.2 yards a carry against Temple and Houston, and he's still your starting running back, and you've got a guy that's averaging 4.1, you got another guy averaging 6.8, and another guy averaging 11.3.
I don't disagree.
I mean, at some point, production on Saturday has
It
to
also,
matter.
but it's also like, what's the number? You got the stats up. So like, what's the number of carries? Like, I think Sawchuk has like 15,
16,
16, and then Barnes has like
31,
12. His 31.
31.
Okay,
This
then
weekend bumped it huge.
that would probably mean Tatum, I think, has got 15,
15. Franklin
and
has
then
4,
it's 4. Yeah. So
but he is nearly, well, not dumb. He is what, 35% more production than Gavin Sawchuk on 4 carries compared to 16.
yeah. Yeah, it's not good. And like I said, I don't want, no one are like Gavin Sawchuk will be like, oh, what are these guys talking about? Gavin, we don't hate you. We want you to be successful.
Yeah. But
You
like, I
know,
mean, again, like, I'm not hating on the kid. He, like, look, you and I both came in the season going, I think we found something in Gavin Sawchuk finally. Once he
I
got
mean, last
healthy
year,
and the Cheez It Bowl. We've been on the Gavin Sawchuk train for both of those games.
well,
All
I
of
was gonna
Sooner
say,
Nation has wanted the two-headed monster of Barnes and Sawchuk.
well, last year I would have said if it wasn't for Sawchuk and oh wow, his name just slipped my mind. Transferred to Wisconsin.
Howie.
Towie Walker. I think this team loses 2 or 3 more games.
Yeah.
So yeah, I think that's why it's confusing
And,
because
and he's shown an ability, like we keep saying he's a home run threat because he is, but he has shown power. Like we've seen him run through tacklers. We've seen him run to contact and get through it.
Mhm.
But right now he just can't see it. Unless it is wide open, he cannot see it and cannot find it. And I don't know what that is or why that is. But again, if you know your O line's not getting any better, that like they're not getting any healthier. I mean, we talked about this after week 1, or at least I did. So, Mr. I'm just gonna say, I'm just gonna sit here and say I already said the O line wasn't gonna be good. And then when we went through a week and a half of camp here and the O line's banged up, I was like, this is as good as it's getting, people. Like, I'm so pissed at sports radio right now and all. Well, they're getting healthy this week. How are you getting healthy? Like, you're not going to be healthy. Like, if Hickman is just now on the verge of being healthy, what do you think is going to happen after he plays this defensive line?
yeah,
He's going to be right back in the dumps of he ain't 100%. And if he goes 2 weeks in a row, he ain't going to be healthy. It's Taylor the other week playing and going right back down. It's him playing and going, like, these guys are not going to get healthier. You get more and more broke down as the season goes along. And so it's just, I just don't get it. I don't understand it. And so if your O line is at that place, you've got to pick the running backs that can help make the O line right. And right now, Sawchuk's not that guy. I think if Sawchuk had a good line, I think he'd be incredible because he would know where to go and just do it. But he
yeah,
doesn't have that right now. He's going to have to create some things, and he doesn't do that. Barnes does it okay, but once he gets to the second level, he can't make anybody miss. So again, we're just repeating ourselves. So I need
yeah.
to get on to my 3 things that I was a little frustrated with. I mean, you've already mentioned the O line. Although I will say this, the O line took a massive step forward in the midst of them not being good. But I will also say this. Now, no one's reporting anything. And there's even been some people argue with me that there's nothing wrong. But look, OU came out in the second half. They drove the ball right down the field, no problem, right? And all of a sudden, I believe it was a second down play. Bates stayed down on the ground. And he sat there with his hands behind his back and just kind of doing this. And then the referee came over as though he was going to stop playing. He said, no. And he just started moving his brace around. And then he got himself up off the ground, right? The very next play, Josh Bates gets destroyed, blows the play up. We have to kick a field goal instead of going in for the touchdown, right? Which I believe then we false started or delay a game on the field goal. And that didn't even work out, right? So then from there on, we struggled to score points. It was an absolute struggle from that point on. Josh Bates got hurt in that game. And I do believe that if he doesn't get hurt, it's a big step forward. Now, I don't believe that Tulane is anywhere near the stratosphere of Tennessee. They're not. And so that is concerning. The wide receiver position continues to be concerning, including Burks. Look, man, the dude is talented beyond belief. He took some plays that were 5-yard plays and he made them 20-yard plays. But look, last week, the interception is him just not paying attention and not going and fighting for the football. This week, I still don't think he catches the ball, but he's sitting there in the middle, standing still. Jackson gets flushed, throws the ball to him, and you know what he does? He falls away from the ball. Go watch the play. As the ball's coming to him, he starts backing up, which is what allowed the linebacker to cut him and get that play. If he goes and attacks that football, it's an incomplete pass. I'm telling you right now. That does not excuse Jackson Arnold for throwing the ball. It was a bad decision. But Burks, again, not doing fundamental. As a wide receiver, you do not, when you see your quarterback getting flushed and having to throw like that, you don't retreat from the football. You attack the football. Always. Always, 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 always. And it's a pick. Not to mention, let's not talk about the dime that Jackson Arnold dropped to him on 3rd down and 11. That was just an absolute dot and a laser of a throw, and Burks couldn't haul it in. I mean, it would be I don't know what Jackson's percentage is right now, completion percentage, but I would love to know what it is with the drops. If you added the drops in, I bet he's pushing 70% completion percentage. What are we saying about Jackson Arnold if he's at 70% completion, which would also make the 3rd down numbers better? He'd have at least 2 more touchdowns because Hester's dropped a touchdown. In my opinion, Hester dropped 2 touchdowns. The deep ball and that slant both were going to the house if he has any athletic ability at all, right? Again, this team offensively just shoots themselves in the foot from different angles every other play. If they will get in sync, they've got a chance to score 17 or 20 points this weekend. If they play like they have the last 3 weeks, they're going to score about maybe 10 to 13 because they just don't take care of each other. I mean, again, the offensive line blocks right. The receivers get separation. Tatum doesn't pick up a pass pro. And so now you're screwed, right? Everybody does their job and gets open. They drop the ball when Jackson gets it to them, right? The line blocks. The receivers get open. Jackson overthrows it, right? Like when it's like Jacquez Petaway, wide open, you got to hit that guy. Like it's got to be there. The line doesn't block. I mean, it's just there's somebody every play that's off, and they got to get going. Defensively, I think there was number one guy that was bad. That's Kenai Walker. All the deep balls that were getting loose were Kenai Walker. He got lazy on deep ball, which I don't understand because if you watch the K-State tape, Mensa was slinging the ball down the field. And it was like you would have thought that Mensa couldn't throw the ball farther than 25 yards because once he covered about 25 or 30, he just let them go. And they'd be wide open, and Mensa missed them multiple times. And Nico ain't missing. So those are kind of the bads for me within the game for sure. So how about the goods for you? Well, there were some positives that came out of this game.
There were some positives. As much as I just talked about the defense being inconsistent, it's also we have to take a step back and look at these last 3 games and say this OU offense is probably scores half as many points total.
Oh yeah,
Um, if it isn't for the defense giving them short fields because of turnovers and other things, right?
right.
So the defense I thought actually responded really well. I thought that they rallied and played really well. And again, they are. I think this is still a great defense. And I think that that's something that they're gonna. This team's gonna have to hang their hat on because that's still right now. It's the only thing I have any confidence keeping them in the game. Um, against some of the tougher opponents. But I do think that they were really tough and responded well. I thought Jackson, I know I feel like he had a little bit of an inconsistent period, but I thought, like you said, some of the throws he made, I was like, I feel like he's finally getting a little bit more and more comfortable. Like I feel like you can feel that from game to game where he's getting a little bit more comfortable.
Yeah,
It does suck because he has a lot of drops. Like you said, Burks had a drop, and I think Hester and I mean everybody's been dropping the ball.
yeah,
So I'm hoping like when Nick is able to come back, that hopefully he's the way he was and he can just reel in the ball and that'll help a little bit. It gives
yeah.
him another target. But yeah, I thought he played really well. And then let me give a third one. Uh, I guess I'll just I'm gonna just highlight specifically on defense. If Danny, if you were doing a poll right now, I know there's a lot of season left, a lot of things can change. If you're doing a poll right now, or you're doing a ward watch list right now, and Danny Stutzman and Billy Bowman are not on that watch list and high up that watch list, you're watching different football than I am because those two have been pretty phenomenal. I think Billy Bowman's probably had a little bit. I think he had a little bit of a shaky start, but he's really solidified himself the last couple of games. And then Danny Stutzman has just been,
Everywhere.
dude. Danny Stutzman is. I don't want to use the best linebacker in the country, but if you're not putting him as in your top five, then you're a joke.
Yeah, yeah, absolutely agree. Positives for me coming out of the game, I would agree on Jackson. Um, Again, he needs help. Like the team has to. The dime he threw to again, I didn't even mention this in my negative on Burks. The one in the end zone, the deep ball down the sideline. It's Burks's job to get back in bounds to make that catch. Like that was like that's a 1 in 1,000 throw that he puts on Burks. And Burks just allows himself to barely get pushed and driven out of bounds and never, I don't even think he was aware. To be honest, I don't think he had zero indication he's out of bounds. He is literally on an out and up play and he has no clue where he is on the field. Like you run a post route and you have no clue that you should stay flat and the ball's been thrown to you. I mean, like you're starting to kind of see why maybe like he didn't have the production level that you would have expected a guy like him to have at Purdue, to be honest. Because I think he is just absent-minded sometimes and he's killing it. But that throw he made, the third down throw he made, his decisiveness, I thought was much, much better. He looked in control. He looked in rhythm, taking what the defense was giving him. Again, the only negative you pull about Jackson Arnold is take less hits, bro. Just take less hits. It's early in the season. Take less hits. Like we get it, but you don't have to do that. I think the other thing is, as much as I kind of crapped on him in the negative, I can't deny the O line improved. They were better, without a doubt. Now, some of that I also, with in combination to it, Seth Luttrell. You went to some gap scheme. You went to some GT counter. You went to some different looks to make things move around and give people space. Good on you. I thought he dialed up some great stuff in the game. And again, I think unfortunately Seth Luttrell's being attacked by the fan base for players not executing. I mean, I'm sorry, when players are open and they don't catch the ball, that's not a bad play call. That's a bad execution. Right.
Right.
And so there's that. Now, number 3 is where I've got to eat my crow. I think the light came on for R. Mason Thomas on Saturday.
Yep.
He had some pressures early. Now, here's the thing, too. I was getting abused in the Discord because I said, look, man, they early in that game in the first and second quarter, they 2 or 3 times they brought both kind of the double mug look, which means, both linebackers come and line up, on those A gaps. and then they shoot. The whole purpose in that, right, is either to cause a bunch of freak out in the quarterback and get him to make a stupid decision, right? And or now you put the guard and tackle in flux because the guards have to decide, do they want to pinch down and leave the tackles on an island, or are they going to kind of basically kind of do the chip thing? They're going to chip and come back out, right? For the most part, our defensive ends got left on an island, and they did not get home on those plays early. Now, they kind of ran around the quarterback, and everybody's like, they're getting great pressure. Look, it is not pressure on a quarterback if he's not running for his life. If a quarterback's standing in the pocket, comfortable, just because your guy is back there running around him, that's not pressure. That just means he's in the vicinity. Like that's not pressure. But dude, in the fourth quarter, R. Mason Thomas said hello to the world. And that is what we've heard he's been doing. And it showed up on Saturday. If we get that from R. Mason Thomas, I'm going to be real excited. The other guy that I thought was encouraging, I thought Woolard showed a few flashes in the game. And I thought PJ, as much as I've been all over the Stiff Baptist pastor, I thought he had a few moments in the game on Saturday. So the D ends, I thought, took a big step forward.
And I do want to say, and again, I don't want to be that guy because this was when is this? Wasn't this a Big 12? Was this a Big 12 crew for this game?
I
Or was that
don't
last
know, to
week?
be honest. That was
I don't
last
know.
week. Houston's
No, this week was like
12.
ACC. Yeah, this week was ACC. There was one where I like PJ destroys his guy.
Oh, there was a couple holds that were.
There was one where he literally made that guy look dumb, and the guy literally, I was like, I don't even know how a ref sitting on top of the press box looking the other way could have called that a hold. But there was one that I could think of where like literally the guy like it like basically was a horse collar, grabbed him, pulled him back, and then threw him to the ground.
Yeah.
And right in front of I was like, bro, I was like, PJ, like again, I agree with you. He still got some work to do, but I was like, there was some plays. I was like, I think the stat sheet would look a little better if there weren't some of those holds. And some of those were, if you go watch the film, this isn't me being like, oh, it changed the outcome of the game or whatever. I'm just saying, when you look at it and you want to look at the performance of the D line played across the board, I thought played at a pretty high level as compared to what they have been, especially. Yep. And if you watch some of those plays where it's like dudes are like mauling their guy and they just got ripped to the ground or they got their jersey ripped off. Like that's not on them.
And again, I don't think K-State's a world beater, but this offense put up 491 yards on K-State. They didn't even get to 300 against OU.
Yeah.
I mean, the D-line played great, including the D-ends. It's been all D-tackled up to this point. The D-ends played great, and that is a great sign. If they can keep doing that and ascending that way, I love it. And let's not get it twisted. BV added a lot into the game plan for Tulane, but he's got more. You know, he's got a whole lot more in the bag that he can still pull out and bring. So it was good overall. Really, really liked it. So anything else from the Tulane game that stood out to you? Didn't stand out to you?
One minor detail, special teams still a little bit of a concern. Like Bowen had that one where he kind of had to like step back and catch it real awkwardly on a punt.
Yeah, but I thought the catching was way better than
it was better, but it's still not in a place where I'm like 100% solid.
I'm on the opposite end of you. When I got done with that game, I was like, none of those catches scared me. The last game, every time you could see them going, oh God, at the last second to go get the ball. I didn't see that in this game really. And even a good return by Peyton Bowen at one point as well for, I don't know, 15, 18 yards, something like that. He had the little return down the sideline, which was nice to see. And
well, and like I said, I want to say as much as we have talked some positives and stuff, at the end of the day, the defense is the reason that OU was able to secure the game as much as they did.
Yes.
Without them, this game, I don't know that we win without that defense making.
And look, if you can get the first half team to show up in the second half, I feel a lot better about it, right? But, and again, I think if you will go back, I mean, you can chart it. And somebody in the Discord did kind of agree with me about Bates. That first drive in the second half, they're moving the ball. They're still blocking. Well, things are going well. And then when Bates went down, and look, I'm not even gonna lie to you. If Bates was seriously hurt, I don't know what they do.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? Like, he was going to have to play no matter what. And you could tell Tulane knew it too, because out of nowhere, the next drive is where they started just blitzing up the A gaps every time. They were bringing noise up the A gap. So I think this game could have looked. I mean, look, 21 points and a half is nothing to be upset about. That's a good day, especially for an offense that's been struggling. I thought they looked great. It was what we wanted to see. It was just the second half it got away from them, and we know it's going to have to be a lot better than that for the rest. So, anyways,
Yep.
that's that. Now, here's what we want to say about the Tennessee game really quick. We're going to preview it a little bit right now. A pretty good preview for us. We, oddly enough, for those of you that listen to that SEC podcast, you know that it's Mike and his cousin Shane. Well, we have a cousin Shane that
Yeah.
is a huge Vols fan. He's coming to Norman for the game this weekend. We reached out to him like, dude, you got to come on with us. Talk to us about Tennessee. Talk your smack. Get it out there. He goes, dude, I don't keep up. I watch games. He goes, I'm not in. But I got a buddy who's all in. He's like, he knows it. So he is trying to get us connected with him. So hopefully later in the week, we'll get to have a little banter back and forth with him about the game as we preview it. So be looking for possibly another preview podcast as we get more in. But as you look ahead to this, look, I'll just say it this way, and I don't know how you feel. Not only are the Vols very good, they are, but it feels like their strengths, unfortunately, align perfectly with our weaknesses. It's just the way that I feel about this game. I don't know if you feel that way or not. So, what are your overall big picture thoughts on this game?
Yeah, I mean, to some degree, sure. I don't like, how do I say it? The At the same time, I think some of our strengths go against, like, I think some of our strengths go against their, let's say, weaknesses, but their questions, right? Because they look really good. They look pretty solid everywhere, to be honest. So if this is me being a sunshine pumper, they haven't really played anybody either. I mean, NC State's the best one they played, who was preseason ranked, but has not looked good
Right.
really in any game so far. But outside of that, they played like Kent State and they played like Chattanooga, right? Like you should be able to
Yeah.
hang 60 points on those teams.
Right. Right.
So I don't know. I think they're really good, but I think that's going to be. I think the interesting matchup, if you want to circle something, is their offense overall versus our defense overall. Now, when you talk about their defense against our offense, much less optimistic. I do agree with you there.
Yeah, but I think that's the key to the game. I listened today and yesterday to the sports radio, driving around, running errands, picking the kids up, things like that. And all I could hear is it's all about OU's defense against their offense. Well, I disagree. Like, look, let me ask it this way. Will Tennessee's offense have some success?
Yes.
Okay. So you're not going to stop them, right? Like, it's not like, I don't care how good we think this defense is. In the era that we are of football, the days of holding a team like Tennessee to 12 or 15 points ain't happening. That is not going to happen on Saturday. This defense plays really well. Like, look, they played really well against Tulane and gave up 19 against a good offense. I think we can all agree that Tennessee's offense is much better. Much better. So you're going to have to hold them to probably closer to 30 points. And that would be a good day of defense. So the game comes down to the offense. Because look, if they're going 3 and out, 3 and out, 3 and out, I don't care how good your defense is, they're giving up 40. They're giving up 40 plus. So it is all about the offense having some sustained drives. I'm not even saying the offense has got to score 21 or 28, but they've got to have some sustained drives to give the defense a chance. That's it. But again, their D line against our O line is by far our weakness. Squirrel Thomas against our DBs, I would say our corners so far through the season have been the rough patch so far of the defense. Their receivers can go. I mean, so that's a weakness. Their special teams have been very good. That's been a question. I mean, again, kind of their stronger areas, I think, are our weaker points. So we'll see how that goes. Now, the one thing I do think we have in our back pocket of this game, and I want to see what you think, and I think we know what we believe will happen. But look, man, for all 5 of you that listen to this podcast, the crowd has to get liquored up for this game. And whether you mean that literally or figuratively, I don't care. But the crowd has got to be
I just
unhinged.
I just want to point out to our listener, if you're not aware, my brother is a Baptist minister, and he just told everybody to get liquored up. So I don't know. As you take that out, you want,
I live in a world of reality. Okay. Like it's
yeah.
the tailgate. If you're one of those that's got to go to a game that way to get loud, like have a cold one, I guess, whatever. But like,
Have yourself a Dr. Pepper.
there you go. Like, it's got to happen. Like, the crowd cannot be, like, it's got to go. Now, look, if we get down 30, go home and enjoy yourself and have a fun Saturday evening. But that place needs to be rocking. And look, use some IQ, people. One of the things that drives me nuts at a game when it's tight and it's a really good team is how nobody gets loud in the stadium until they break the huddle and actually get to the line of scrimmage. Like, the communication all takes place in the huddling. now Tennessee ain't even going to huddle, right? They're going to be moving. But that is one thing I believe that Nico has not seen yet. He has not been in a hostile environment as the starter yet. He stood on the sideline for it. He hasn't been out there directing traffic. And so for me, I think one of the massive keys of this game is the crowd being unhinged, BV and Zach Alley dialing some things up that cause him to get confused. And then in the confusion, the routes are confused. Like, and you see that whole, you're walking back to the sideline and the wide receiver's pointing at him and he's pointing. Like, if you can get that going early in the game, you might have something that can carry through the rest of the game. How do you feel about that thought?
Yeah, I mean, I think the crowd's going to have to play a big part in it. I mean, even Bob Stoops kind of did his old, he said, "Oh, you fans, we need you this weekend," or whatever. I don't
Yeah.
know, he tweeted something like he's even calling it out. And the thing is, like, look, I love OU and I even love most of the fan base, but our fan base kind of sucks sometimes. Like even in Tulane, it's like it was a close game, and you're like seeing pictures of the game, and it's like the corners are empty,
Yeah.
And I know it's Tulane, but
It ended up being a tight game.
yeah. And so I do want to see them be loud. I think that's one thing. And like there, we haven't talked about, I think even if they played, I don't think they played at NC State. I think that was at Tennessee, maybe. I can't remember. But either way, it's like that's probably not as hostile of an environment. But it's like we've already seen people struggle with the headset,
Yeah.
the helmet headset and everything. So like could affect their rhythm, especially like you said, as the faster a team goes, the more they need that to be on cue, on
Right.
ready to go. So if
Right.
you can disrupt that even by 5-10 seconds and he's having to cover his ears and strain to hear, it's like that could be big. That could be huge for both the to affect their offense and to help our defense.
Yeah.
So
And look,
but yeah,
man,
I do
like
think
again, be as loud as you can. Because look, my guess is this. They might use the helmet stuff. My guess they're just going to go full signal because they know it's going to be so loud in there. Um, but look, the loudness affects the snap count. And so you can't wait until you see the quarterback clapping his hands to get loud. Like you need to be loud as soon as they are getting in any kind of communication formation. Raise the volume in that dadgum place to make it tough, to make it hard.
this is our first SEC game as an
Yes.
SEC member.
Yeah.
Let's not look like we're bottom of the barrel. Let's impress.
Yeah. Let's
Even
be
if we
SEC
lose and
ready.
we have a rowdy environment, I think that's still somewhat of a moral victory. So yeah.
Absolutely. Yeah, I'm all for it. So what would be your one or two things that you think must happen for OU to win the game?
Well, okay, I'm gonna say something, and then I'm gonna kind of like highlight how I'm gonna feel pretty much regardless after this game.
Okay.
The play calling, I'm not gonna throw Seth Luttrell under the bus completely. I understand there's some execution things, all that, right? but I want to see consistent play calling. You can't hide behind, well, we ran a vanilla game plan anymore. If they come out after Tennessee, whether it's a win or loss, and say, well, we ran a vanilla play call, I'm not buying it, dude. I ain't that stupid.
Yeah.
I ain't that stupid. You can't hide behind that anymore.
Right.
Um, so show me what you can do. You're gonna have to start opening your playbook because this is the meat of your schedule. You're about to get into it. So I want to see some good play calls, and I want to see them be able to get some of those people out there. I want to see to be able to see Barnes, Sawchuk, whoever gets to the outside. I want them to see, I want to see blocking. I want to be able to call those things, and those things work. So I just want the offense. Really it's kind of be highlighting the whole offense. The offense needs to fire and at least have some, like, we can't have 3-and-outs every drive.
Yeah.
Like, I feel like that's where you started to see Tulane, because you started having a bunch of 3-and-outs.
Yeah.
And then you could see the defense starting to get gassed.
Correct. Correct.
Until basically R. Mason Thomas showed up and said, I'm going to carry the whole defense for.
Yeah. Pulled a Reggie White series there out of nowhere.
Yeah, they looked gassed. They looked tired. And I was concerned. They got the ball back, and I was like, they can go down and tie or win this game. And we looked tired. We looked like we couldn't stop them. So you got to do that. And then the other thing is, like you said, I want to see the defense play consistently. Like I said, I already highlighted that they also played inconsistent. I don't think the game plan was bad. I thought the game plan was fine. I thought it was poorly executed for part of it. So I'm fine. Really, that's the thing, is like, I don't even need them to change your play calling on that side of the ball. I feel like they've kind of run a defense that works. It can work against a Tennessee team. Do it consistently. I think outside of Danny Stutzman, it's like everybody on this defense I could probably highlight and tell you a point where they weren't consistent.
Yeah.
And so I really want to see that. But I mean, I think that's what they're going to have to. I mean, they're going to have to play. I know that this is me giving a very broad statement, but it's like they're going to have to play their best ball.
Yeah.
And they're going to have to play a whole lot better than they have through 3 games.
Yeah.
And I think a lot of that aligns with coaching. But like I said, on the offensive side, you just can't. If you come out and say vanilla, well, we were vanilla, like, that's been their defense. And it's like, nobody's buying that snake oil after this week.
Yeah.
If you get blown out, and you're like, well, we ran a vanilla play, why? Who's believing that you had the number?
Oh, if they say that, they should be fired. I mean, let's just be honest. Like that, and that's not going to happen. Okay.
No, but I'm just saying. To me, it's felt like maybe it's not what it is. I don't feel like they've been that exotic with the playbook, so I agree with that. But BV, outside of, they did that really stupid reverse in this last game that annoyed me.
Well, again, it actually was a really good call, except for the fact that Jackson Arnold doesn't know how to pretend like he's not in the play after he holds on. I mean, the DN and linebacker on that side are flooding to Tatum. And then Jackson, basically, as soon as they did, he starts doing this, and they immediately flooded right out to him. I mean, it was there to be had, all that to say.
But my point is this, like, it's felt like a really dumb defense of our offense not performing to say, well, we've been vanilla.
Yes.
That gets a horrible defense. And if I hear it again any point in the season, I'm going to lose my mind. So
yeah,
give me a good play call. Give me a good outing.
Yeah, no doubt. Okay, Captain Obvious, but number one, the number one way that OU has a chance of winning this game is turnover margin. Like, and honestly, I think OU has to end the game with no turnovers. I don't think they can turn the ball over at all and win this game. It has got to be, honestly, they probably need to win the turnover margin by 2 to have a chance to win the game.
I was like, if they get 3, I think they should win. But 2 is,
in theory,
gives you a chance.
But I mean, that again, that's so Captain Obvious. But like, everybody keeps talking about, well, the defense. Okay, the defense can't win the game playing solid defense for 60 minutes. The defense can win the game by playing solid defense with some turnovers, right? Like, you can't, like, if that makes sense. So I think that that's huge important in this game. The number 2 thing that I do think has to happen in this game for this team is a wide receiver, whether that's a healthy Nick Anderson, whether that's Jacquez Petaway, somebody has to step up as somebody other than Deion Burks being a viable option of getting open and catching the ball. Right. And I've already highlighted Deion Burks is not getting near enough criticism by the fans at all. He is a problem 2 weeks in a row for this team by just not being detailed and doing his job. And everybody wants to look the other way because the numbers look good. I don't care. I don't care. Like, those are big plays that he's letting go of because he doesn't want to be. It's no different than Hester dropping the ball
Right.
on those 2 plays. He gave up a touchdown, he gave up a first down, and he gave up a pick six. All this weekend. And then you go back to last week, he gave up an interception that probably would have gone for a touchdown if he stays flat and goes up and catches the ball because he's going to cross the face of the safety and take it to the house. So those are the plays that cannot happen. But somebody, I know everybody keeps saying Nick Anderson's going to play. That's great. But if he's rusty, it's not going to help us. It's not. So somebody's going to have to step up at wide receiver. And then defensively, man, R. Mason Thomas. Teddy has talked about this a lot with PJ. He acknowledges that PJ doesn't have great bend, but he's like, he has so many other just physical attributes and tools that I feel like once he figures out, I can do this whenever I want, and it just happens, like it's going to click, and he's going to go, oh, well, that's how you do it, right? That's what it felt like happened with R. Mason Thomas at the end of that game. It was like, oh, I can do this. And if I come around this way, like I'm literally in the hip pocket of the quarterback. I'm not running past him and coming back down to no man's land or whatever. The lights got to come on. He needs to be an absolute game wrecker in this game for OU to have a chance.
Yeah, I mean, honestly, like I could go back and watch that. Like, I don't
Oh
know how much
gosh,
TV time that was, but that dude, that was like if I ever had a son and he wanted to be a D lineman, it'd be like, watch this,
watch this.
like watch
Yeah.
this.
Well, what's
Um,
funny is I don't remember what we had something happen. Gibson got hurt, something. I don't know. I had to leave the room and figure out what was going on. And I came back and we had scored. And I was like, whoa, whoa, whoa. Like, what happened? Like, what? And like, Evan was like, they got a turnover, like something. And I was like, wait, what? And then I saw everybody going, R. Mason Thomas with back-to-back sacks and fumble recover. And I was like, good Lord. Like, apparently. And then I finally rewound it and watched it. I was like, yeah, that's a thing of beauty.
yeah, he had a stats from like it was like in like 5 minutes of game time. He had stats that like a lot of people will be proud with for a whole game. Like, so yeah, that was very exciting to see. So
Yeah, no doubt. No doubt. So that's all I got for the review preview for now. Look, man, big time game days in town. Look, I not overly hopeful, but have fun with it, man. Like this is the aspect of being in the SEC we wanted. These kinds of games. We wanted to play these kinds of games. And so let's take advantage of it as Sooner Nation and go get after it. So how about we do some predictions, shall we? Do you want to do OU right now and roll into the rest of them? Or do you want to save that for the end?
we'll save that for the end. We'll save it for
Okay.
the end,
Got it.
like we usually do.
Got it.
Okay, so games this week. First up, 24 Illinois, not often ranked.
Okay.
James W from the Discord, big Illinois fan as well, actually,
That's
if you
true.
remember
That's
that.
true.
At 22 Nebraska with the fighting Cornhuskers or the fighting Patrick Mahomes cosplayers, however you want to look at it. Nebraska is favored by 8. Who are you taking?
Illinois. Illinois will cover that.
Illinois cover that. I'm actually going to take Nebraska.
Okay.
Take
I like it.
Nebraska because
Illinois
I do.
defense, man. Everybody keeps forgetting that Illinois plays some legit defense. That is what they've been winning on for 2 seasons now.
I think as much as I give the Dylan Raiola thing, I just think it's hilarious. I give him crap. I think he's actually a really good
Oh yeah,
quarterback.
he's really, really good. There's no doubt.
So yeah. Next up, we have NC State, who we just talked about a little bit earlier in the preview for Tennessee, at 21 Clemson. Feels like two teams that have kind of been in that flux of we don't know what we're getting with them, right? Like that's kind of how I feel
Yeah.
with Clemson. NC State, I don't really think is that great. Clemson is favored by 20 points.
Yeah, that's the part that it's pretty shocking to me. Doesn't surprise me that Clemson's favored at all. I don't think NC State's some
Yeah, but
juggernaut.
Clemson's offense has just been so pedestrian.
Yeah, man, that is interesting. Hmm. Yeah, yeah. Go ahead and give me NC State to cover. I think Clemson wins, but I think they're going to win by like 18, or it's going to be a push. Maybe I cannot see them winning by 21 points or more.
Yeah, I'm gonna go NC State just because I'm like I don't know how that they would Clemson could score 20 points. To be honest. So we're both taking NC State, right?
Yep.
And we'll of course I guess we'll send these to Troy and see what he says on his predictions. Next up, don't think either of us is looking forward to picking this one. Number 11 USC at the Big House facing number 18 Michigan. USC is currently favored by 5.5 points.
Yeah,
Who are you taking?
they're gonna win by 7 or more. Give me USC.
I'm petty and stupid, so I'm gonna go Michigan. Even though Michigan has looked not good,
I want
really.
Michigan to freaking pound them in the
Well,
ground.
okay, let me like back up. I think Michigan's defense is actually pretty decent. They're
Yes.
decent. Their offense does not look very good.
Yeah. I mean, look, they're OU. The defense is good, the offense is terrible, and you can't win against good teams that way. Like the
Yeah,
offense has to be capable, and the Michigan offense is not capable right now.
it's not looked good. Next up we have Baylor at Colorado. Our old Big 12 conference is kicking off. And like Loki, I'll admit it. I'm actually excited to see some of these matchups because we're gonna have a couple coming up on the next picks.
Yep.
But Colorado, did you see all the drama with Colorado where like Shadur Sanders went and like found the Colorado State QB and was talking trash to him? And I'm like, I'm sorry, like Shadur Sanders, as a court, I guess throwing the ball, like you are immensely talented, but I'm at to the point where I'm like, I'm cheering against you because you're such a prima donna. Like, I don't know. I
Yeah.
just can't cheer for Colorado.
I can't deal with all the attitude and the it's all about
I don't
me
mind.
stuff.
It's beyond like, and people are like, well, Baker it's like, but Baker was like chippy and had the chip on his shoulder, and he wasn't some whatever. You know what I mean? He wasn't
Yeah.
Deion Sanders kid. And this just the attitude. He wasn't after the game. He was, hey, good game, dude. Whatever.
Yeah.
Shadur Sanders tracking somebody down after the game. After last week, you couldn't even be on the field for the end
Right.
of the game.
That's the thing, right? It's all those things in totality. Baker ran his mouth a lot, yes, and I totally understand other fan bases not liking him at all. I do, but yeah, Baker didn't leave the field and go, "I'm going to the locker room. I'm not staying out here. I'm not shaking hands." When the game was over, Baker did shake hands with everybody he talked smack about and said, "Good game." He didn't go and run his mouth. If you want to put the flag plant, I guess, at Ohio State in there, fine. But that was, again, he didn't go find a player and plant the flag in front of them. He went and shook hands, did his thing, ran a lap around the stadium with OU fans, and then did it long afterwards. Um, it's
Here's the way
just,
I would describe it. It's Baker had a gamer mentality. Like when we play video games or you're gaming or whatever it is you do, you playing basketball, whatever. Like you're going to talk trash and you're going to be
yeah.
downright nearly hateful to somebody. But after the game's over, if you
And,
talk to that smack, you take the licks, you move on, you shake hands, and you go about your day.
and Baker would have never said, "Did you see how much time that guy got and how much time I got? My O line's terrible."
Yeah.
Like that
Well,
kind of stuff. Like
and not only it's Baker's a gamer. Shadur Sanders is a spoiled rotten brat. I'm gonna call it. He's a spoiled brat. I mean, I could go on a rant about him. Maybe we should do a J Rod's rant about Shadur as the season goes on. I don't
Don't
like
do it.
wish I hope he stays healthy and everything, but it's like, dude, you're not a leader. Like I cannot get behind him. So
Yeah.
um and which Dion is, I don't think either. So maybe, whatever. Baylor at Colorado, though. Colorado was favored by 2 points, just 2 points. Who are you taking? The Dave
And
Arandas versus the Deion Sanders.
yeah, Baylor's not any good. Like they're not. Colorado's not a good team, but they have good players. I don't know that Baylor's got even good players right now. So I'm going Colorado to cover.
Okay, you're taking Colorado. Okay. Okay. I'm gonna take Baylor. I think Aranda, I still have
No,
faith in Aranda. I think you don't believe in Dave Aranda anymore?
not as a head coach. No,
Okay. Well, I still
like
think defensively he's a mastermind, so
I
we'll see.
agree with that. I think he's a DC, you know, playing head coach, and it's
I'm
not going
interested to
great.
see. Just because Colorado, like the way that they've acted about everything, I don't even want beating Colorado State of all people. It's like, is that going to inflate their ego to a point where they just think they're going to walk over Baylor also? Like that's how fragile I feel like that culture is in Colorado. But
Yeah,
anyways,
maybe
we'll move
so.
on.
Maybe so.
Move on. This isn't the Colorado podcast, so we'll move on. Next up, 12 Utah, number 12 Utah at number 14 Oklahoma State. I don't even know if Cam Rising is back yet. I
It
need to look that
seems as
up.
though he is because the line moved about 3 points in favor of Utah today.
He reveals QB status versus Oklahoma State. That Rising will be available after missing past week due to a hand injury.
I'm taking the Utes.
Yeah, I'm taking Utes and the points. All give me all the points.
Look, man, and by the way, this is not hating on Oklahoma State. I think Oklahoma State's a very good team still. I still think very much they have a chance to be in the Big 12 championship game. But look, the O line has struggled to give Ollie Gordon space. And I don't believe for a second that against Utah's defense, Alan Bowman's throwing like he did against Tulsa. That's how they
Well,
won that game.
and it's Tulsa for one. Like Arkansas, and I'm going to be honest with you. Another game that people aren't talking about. Arkansas got kind of shafted in that game too. They should have beat Oklahoma State.
Yeah.
They should have beat Oklahoma State. I don't remember I think it was a pass interference call, but I remember there was a call like Oklahoma State. I think it was like on fourth down, got like a pass interference call that everybody was like,
Yeah. I mean, Arkansas still peed down their leg in that game. There's no doubt. But yeah, I mean, all that to say, Utah is going to be as good defensively as any of those teams, and it's going to be better. And I don't trust Alan Bowman to be a Heisman winner. I just don't. Ollie Gordon's that guy, and they're not giving
can
him
we?
space right now.
Can I just say I don't understand also like in the Arkansas game, I didn't look at the stat line for Tulsa. But like you're playing Arkansas and like I think up until like the fourth quarter, Ollie Gordon had like 8 carries. Like your Heisman candidate running
Yeah,
back.
I don't know. I don't know if that's true or not. I didn't look at it. If
No,
that's
he had
true.
I
That's
know he had very few carries. Like I think it was like he had I believe the stat line was 8 or 9 carries. It was less than 10 and going into the fourth quarter.
well, if anything, though, watching that game early, I think it's because they were handing it to him on first down. They were ending up at like 2nd and 10 and 2nd and 11, and then just going 3 and out the whole first half. I mean, Arkansas dominated them in the first half,
Yeah.
dominated them, and including time of possession. So that's the other side of it is they just didn't have a lot of opportunity.
Yeah, I mean, I think so. But Utah, I think Utah's really good. They looked a little shaky actually against Utah State, but again, Cam Rising just it's crazy how much Cam Rising elevates that team.
Yeah, yeah.
I mean, honestly, that offense looks completely different.
They
So,
still almost won their conference last year though without him.
yeah.
So
Okay, so here's the big one. Number 6, Tennessee at number 15, Oklahoma. Tennessee is favored by a tutty, 7 points.
yeah, give me
Even look at
Tennessee.
the over. Okay, let me give you the over. We'll do the over under too. Let's do the over under. Let me see. Okay, so you're gonna take Tennessee.
56.
You're probably looking at it.
Nope,
So
I'm not.
57 and a half. 57 and a half.
Ooh, hey, that's not bad. That's not bad.
So you're taking the, are you gonna take the over?
I am taking Tennessee and the points. And if you're making me pick the over under, I would say that it is going to be over.
Okay. I hate to do it. I hate to do it. You know what? I was there 2016, 2017, whatever year that was, Neyland Stadium. I'm taking OU. I'm taking OU for the upset.
Oh wow.
And I'm gonna take the under. Take the under.
Well, yeah, if you're picking OU to win, you better take the under. That's the only way that's
Yeah.
happening.
Yeah. So I'm taking OU in the under. I'm not very confident in this pick, but we also keep picking the same thing. So
Yeah,
yeah, I just think it's
I mean, I want OU to win. And do they have a chance? Yes. But again, the way I try to filter these things is if the team I hated the most was in our situation playing this team, what would I be picking? I would be picking Texas to lose by double digits. If they
sure.
were playing like we are, they should lose by double digits. If Texas was telling me all offseason, we got a kid from North Texas and SMU, we're going to be awesome in the SEC on the O line, I'd say you're going to suck.
Here's one thing that I do want to highlight. There's a couple of things that we didn't really talk about with Tennessee specifically. We talked a lot
Okay.
about OU, which is fair. One, I am interested to see how Josh Heupel is going to feel coaching his first game as a Tennessee head coach against OU. If that's
How
going
do
to
you
play any,
how do you think he's going to feel?
I mean, don't get me wrong. I think he wants to hang 100 on OU,
Yeah.
ironically, which I still think it's stupid that he hates OU as much as he does. Um, I mean, I get being fired, but it's like, bro, like you were also anointed saint for still to this day, pretty much for a lot of Sooner fans. But anyway, but I also like the other thing is they did get a like they did the whole onside kick to open the second half or whatever.
Yeah.
It's like I want to know like I just it's like they've played nobody, right?
Right.
Are they going to come into this game feeling like this could be a trap game for them where they come in, they're like, I know you use like 15, but we're so good. We're going to kick an onside kicks against Chattanooga to open the half. We're so
I,
good.
look, I said this and I didn't put it in my keys because I don't really think it is, but I think the only thing that Josh Heupel can do to kind of screw it up is let his rage get in the way, where he is just throwing haymakers the whole time. And if they're not working, it's stalling drives out. Like if he does that, there could be a problem. But yeah, I mean, his mentality coming in this game is he ain't scared. And I can promise you this. If there is any way on earth that Josh Heupel can keep a team from overlooking this game, this is the one. They will not overlook this game. He is going to give them every historical stat, all the things, anything. He's going to take a quote where somebody goes, OU could absolutely win this game. And then it, comma, but there's no way that really is going to happen. And he's going to erase that off and go, look at what this national person said. OU could absolutely win this game. Like he's going to take the quote that says OU's got a really good defense, but Tennessee's offense is way too much for them to stop. And he's just going to erase the second half and put up on the bulletin board, OU's got a great defense. Like, yeah,
Can
like,
I can I can I just say can I just like give my little spiel about Josh Heupel before we wrap up?
oh yeah, absolutely.
I obviously didn't have any connection with Josh Heupel, never spoke to the man, whatever. But I knew somebody that did that worked with him,
Yes, you did.
and not a great guy. Not a great guy was the review I got.
He was also young and basically had never failed at that point, too.
Yeah, but he very much made everybody know that.
Correct. But again,
So
and look, talking to our cousin Shane today about coming on the pod, he asked, he goes, what is the deal with him not liking? He was unaware that he was fired from OU. He didn't even know that. And we talked about that. I said, but he's still mad about it. He's still salty about it. He still hates Bob Stoops for it, all the things. But honestly, it was the best thing for Josh because Josh had to be humbled. It like he had no choice. He landed at Utah State. So he literally got to kind of do what he did as a quarterback through his college career, going, okay, I'm in the middle of nowhere. Nobody knows I'm here. All I can do is go out and perform. And he's done it everywhere he's been since. Like it was the best thing for him in the long run. you and I both know from those days when all that was going on. I believe that you and I, basically the way we described him from those days was he truly believed his crap never stunk.
Yep.
Well, that I believe that's changed for him now. But the pettiness that he feels for being let go during that season is that boulder is 10 times bigger than any boulder Baker Mayfield has carried anywhere. And he is going to do whatever. I guarantee you in the offseason, he spent more time on this week than he did any other team.
And that may be so. I mean, I like I said, the thing is, I don't even like as much as I don't think he's a great guy. It's like, dude, you helped OU win a national championship. I gotta like commend you on that. I will always applaud you for that. But yeah, like knowing who I know and like hearing the things that I've heard, yeah, I don't know. I don't know. And it's like the other thing is it's like you can't look at those OU teams and go, you kind of deserve to be fired, bro. You kind of deserve it.
Yeah.
Um and the other thing is like the funny thing is it's on the flip side because like I've heard people like everything that I've heard from people I know that worked in the program and everything, pretty much every other coach was actually very humble and very welcoming and very like knew everybody from the star quarterback down to the guy that washed the jock straps,
Right.
you know. And that's kind of the ship that especially Bob Stoops tried to run, where it was like even the way he described it to me was CEO like, where it was a big company, but he knew everybody, and he would said like he would walk by and I was a nobody, and he'd be like, "Hey, how are you doing?" and like talk to you and know who you were.
Yep.
Um, and so, I feel like that's how that was in that building. And Josh kind of was not that way. So, like I said, I don't know. I don't know how he is now. I think it's a little silly that he does, has that much animosity or whatever, but it is what it is. We'll see what happens.
Yeah. I mean, it's going to be a great game, man. Look, regardless for 20 or sorry, for 30 minutes, this game's going to have an electric atmosphere. It's going to be unreal. And if it's tight, it's going to hit the Richter scale all night long in Norman, right? So, again, it should be fun. This is what we signed up for. I'll say this, man, you got to show something this one and if you don't, uh, the outlook for the season is going to get very bleak very fast. Even though we
Yeah.
saw improvement last week, you better see some improvement this week. If you don't, like Auburn is like the one game. It's the one
Which even
game.
Auburn, can we talk about like what we're not talking about Auburn, but Auburn did not like Auburn was a weird team to watch this last weekend.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. Like that that game was tight for
Yeah, it
a
was like
long
14 to
time.
30. It was like 14 to 13 at half or something
Yeah.
against New Mexico. Was it New Mexico, New Mexico State or
Yeah.
somebody?
And they lost to Cal the week before. So you'd have thought that'd be the wake up call. It obviously wasn't. Now they extended it by the end, but they should have. Like it took them too long to get there. That's the only game right now on the schedule I feel confident that OU can win. The
Yeah,
rest, I do not. I mean, if you're asking me right now, I don't think you beat South Carolina because, again,
sure.
their strength is their D line. And so they're going to make it difficult. Auburn's going to be tough, but I think you got a chance. I don't think you beat Texas right now. I don't think you beat Missouri right now. I don't think you beat Alabama right now. I mean, like LSU, maybe, but you want to talk about the road environment. That's going to be the worst road environment you experience out of the whole thing. Like it gets real bleak if you don't show some real signs of getting better this week. That's for sure. So
Yeah, we'll see. Like I said, there's rumors that some people are going to be back and healthy, so we will
we're gonna
see.
we're gonna need them. We're gonna need them. So, well, again, thanks for joining us. Review preview pod, and again, be looking for later in the week. We might have another one with some Tennessee fans coming on and giving us the real details on Tennessee to see what they're thinking, how they're feeling about the game going into it. Either way, Sooner Nation, let's show up, let's show out, let's give them everything that we can throw at them this weekend from our side of things, and let's get after it. Right. So. We're having a great time. We hope you are too. I'm Daryl. That's Jared. And we will talk to you guys later.
Bye, Baker.